In this tutorial, we will create a small script using ChatGPT to have a model rotate around its own axis. We will assign the script to a button, so when pressing the button, the rotation is start and stopped. In the previous tutorial, we already created a small script starting and stopping an animation. We assigned that to the first button. And with these two buttons in place, we can start and stop the animation and rotate around, so we can see the robot from all sides and all the movements. But that's enough said. Let's go. And we're back with the robot where we left off with the previous tutorial. I got the robot selected. All the components which are present on the robot are listed on the right hand side, which are in this case the transform component, the animator component, and the script that we wrote, the toggle component. This makes the animation start and stop, but now we want to add a second script that rotates the robot over the up axis or Y, so we can view it from all sides. And for this we need to write a little script. And as with the previous tutorial, we can use ChatGPT for this. And let's type in the question that we want. And we want this for Unity. Let me type Unity. We want to rotate the object with a single button click. And then let's generate the code and see what ChatGPT provides us with. I'll just let the code run for some bit. And let's head back up to see what we've got. Let's copy this code and head back to Unity. Back in Unity, let's head over to our scripts folder. And we see the scripts that we have already located in the scripts folder. We're gonna click on the right hand mouse button, create C# script. And we're gonna call this rotate object as well, which is a nice name. Then we're gonna open this up in Visual Studio. And we are welcomed with the basic script. Let's define the variables just as ChatGPT provided us. So we're going to call this a public as we want to change the value in the inspector. Let's use a float, but we can use an integer as well. And we call this rotation speed. So that's the first time where we need. The second one is a private one. Let me just write private, but there's no need for it actually. But I can use a bool function for this. And let's call this is rotating, which is quite nice to use. I like that term. And we start with a false condition. So those are the variables that we need. We do not need a start function. We are just gonna delete all of this. We do need an update. So when we press the button, we want the object to keep on rotating. So what we're gonna say if is rotating is happening, then we are going to generate code. And let me just indent this here. Then we're going to say transform dot rotate. So the transform is the first component. Then we're going to grab the rotation function, so the second one. And then we're going to see something new, which is going to be a vector tree, which is the X, Y, and Z direction. So we're controlling X, Y, and Z. And we want the up or the Y to rotate. We are going to calculate this with the rotation speed, which we defined above. So we're going to multiply it. And we multiply this by time dot delta time. And I can even select it from the list down here. I can close it. And the reason why we need time dot delta time is just to make sure that whatever device we're running our app on, it will always rotate at the same speed. If we don't use this, then a faster computer will rotate faster than a slower one. And this just uses the time between the frames to keep a constant rotation. So that's why we use time dot delta time. We just need to introduce our toggle function, and that is going to be a public function as well. Nothing to return, so it's a void, and we call this toggle rotation. And the two brackets to say that's a function. Then everything is going to happen between the curly brackets. And let me just write the code here in between. And we want to say if it's rotating, and let me just rotating. Then we're going to make it the opposite of is rotating. Ooh, I make a lot of typing errors. There we go. Everything is finished. And let's just save this. Is rotating is the Boolean function. We got a transform component. We got the rotate aspect. So we're going to rotate over the y-axis. So this is the up. That's why we use the vector 3. We're going to multiply by the rotation speed. And we're going to use a standard time between the frames. So no matter which device we're running on, we are always going to use the same time. So we got everything in place. Heading back to the scene. Back in the scene. Let's select our robot. And as we saw before, this is the transform component that we called in the script. This is the rotation over the X, Y, and Z direction. Therefore, we use the vector 3. And we're going to add the script here. There you see, rotation speed 0. And let's make this 50, for example. Now we want to head over to the button that we're going to use to start and stop the rotation. In this case, I got it unfolded. Let me just make it a little bit larger. This is the button I want to attach the script to. So pressing on F takes me to the graphical user interface. And you see on the right hand side, and let me just zoom in a little bit, you can see that there is the on click event, and this is already generated by Unity. Buttons already come with this predefined aspect. If you're referencing an object in a scene, you will need to make a reference in the start function normally. But with the buttons, this is done already. So let me just zoom out. The only thing I need to do here is click on the plus button. It generates this code for me already. The only thing I have to do is drag the robot in, or the object that I want to reference the script to. So there's no need for me to make a reference in the script. I can do it just with the on click event. Then on the function, I can see this is a game object. It has a transform component. It has an animator component. It has a toggle animation script, which we wrote in the previous tutorial. And we got the rotate object, the one we just wrote. We want to find our function, which is toggle rotation. So we got everything set. Let's just start the program. And then we're going to see the robot again. If we click on the second button, we see we got the object rotating over 360 degrees. And the first button that we did, we can start and stop the animation. And everything seems to work perfectly. So if we stop the animation, we can just by clicking the button start and stop the rotation and view the robot from all the sides that we want. We can keep it rotating where we like. We can stop it. And if we head back to the instance of the robot, we see that the rotation speed is 50, but we can make it 25, for example. Restarting the program again, clicking on the button will just makes it rotate slower, but we can still start the animation. So we have the first two buttons applied. Let's head over to the materials, as this is still a clay model. Let's add some night texture to it.